Oh, I just saw 12 hours of pure gameplay where my dude banged everything, shot everything, and looted everything under the sun in Cyberpunk 2077. Let's go, everyone, with more premium scenes coming out. Turns out Panam just requires a ton of work for you to do in the back of a Militech tank. Pretty cool, actually. But there's one thing more important than that, though. That's looting. You have to become a legend in Night City, after all. How does looting work? How does selling items work? Is looting meaningful? Is it fun, I guess? Is the big bad question. Funny enough, the devs haven't talked about looting like nearly at all in Cyberpunk 2077, and it isn't something actually explained in game when you jump in. You're just supposed to know everything. So with 2 days left to launch, let's teach you everything. Let's teach you what you sell, what to craft, what to modify, what the different attachment mods you loot do, and most importantly, what types of items you can loot. Like, did you know you can walk out of the prologue with a fully kitted epic tier weapon and armor? If you actually know what you're doing well. That's why you need to pay attention. Enemies are very, very bullet spongy, so you need every advantage that you can get in the game. Of course, now, if you enjoyed this video at any point, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more daily, top quality content from your one and only pal Flicks here. Alright, where's Johnny? Here he is! I wish they made that joking game. It's such a good one. But in all seriousness, we made a video about looting based on everything that they'd actually showed us. Well, this is what they haven't showed us. So we already knew that when you take down an enemy, they drop boxes, both eddies and ammo in them. And then, you auto pick them up just by going near them. The UI is actually a lot less cluttered when you pick them up now. Like, I barely realized it until my dude went to a shopkeeper and had 10k eddies on him. Like, I haven't seen him looting this stuff, but he had it on him. Then again, some of it was quest rewards. But technically, the characters you go against in-game have a lot of different items they could drop when you actually take them down, with some being more rare. I actually hate using that word because of how they name their item rarities, but generally, a lot of healing items and grenades are on enemies, with two main types of healing being a syringe that heals only a little bit and an inhaler that heals a ton. Some other consumables include the time slowing one, and there's one that also enhances your body, where it gives you the ability to run forever and run really fast to pretty much give you more maneuverability. That's actually sadly it for consumables you could loot, at least, that my dude ran into in his first 12 hours and actually used. Then there's weapons, which drop pretty frequently, which are for the most part what they're actually shooting at you. I say for the most part because, of course, I can't show you the footage for another 2 days. But there were some times where they dropped insanely different weapons than what they were actually using against you. But all weapons they drop are pre-customized. If you loot faction members, like, for example, a weapon off 6th Street, their weapons will be already customized with their colors and logo onto it. Also, you have a very large carrying capacity, so looting everything isn't exactly a bad idea. Because unlike games like Fallout New Vegas or any of the Fallout games, really, enemies don't drop their armor. You can't loot their armor off of them. Like, straight up, you can't. There's one exception, and that's vests, but take that with a grain of salt. I only saw one epic level Arasaka vest drop, and that was on a unique NPC. This character was the door guard for a pretty fun quest, actually, which I won't get into, but you need to experience it, that's why. But 99% of the time, no clothing doesn't drop at all. It doesn't drop no clothing, which means the only things you're actually carrying are weapons and consumables that matter. At least there's a lot of junk items in game and a lot of food items, drinks, etc., but those are really there just to spice up the game. They aren't really that useful, except maybe the junk for crafting, but they're mostly for selling or using, I guess, for immersion. But those are things that aren't really worth too much. Maybe some of the drinks might be worth a decent bit. I didn't check. So you can sell. You don't need to collect them and sell them. Compared to the weapons, I actually think it's a little bit broken how much the base Militech pistol your character starts with is actually worth. And you get so many versions of it during the Maelstrom quest. There's something to be said about taking down a lot of enemies. The loot is actually worth it. Now, we did get into rarities a bit, just a little bit, so let's fully jump into it now. You all know about that one clown, the absolute clown that said Iconic was a weapon class, and I told you it wasn't. I generally don't actually know who said iconic was a weapon class, but he did zero research and is a straight up clown. And funny enough to all the doubters, after 12 hours of pure gameplay, everything I said about the story, about combat, about pacing, about romance, about choices, about branching routes was all right. It's actually hilarious how much I got right. So there are 5 different item rarities: common, uncommon, rare, unique, legendary. There are not 6. There's 5 different nudges, and it only goes up rare to legendary: common, uncommon, rare, unique, legendary. There are not 6. Iconic has nothing to do with item rarity. 0. There's absolutely nothing to do with it. An item can be a rare rarity, aka blue colored, and be an iconic weapon. I say that because I literally saw an exact version of that in game. But Flix, how's that possible? It's because iconic weapons and equipment are unique modified versions of normal weapons that you could get through doing a character's quest chain. At the end of that quest chain, not one quest, multiple quests, that's why I said a quest chain, after you help them enough that they've finished their goals and they're happy, they'll straight up say, hey, here you go, take this, which the actual weapon, they'll give you the actual weapon they were using in fights. Because in these quest chains, these characters generally do come with you for at least part of them to but to give you an example of some iconic weapons that we've actually seen on screen already, like, this isn't spoiler, we've seen these weapons on screen. There's Takamura's pistol, which is iconic, and Panam's sniper, which is iconic. Jackie's pistol might also be iconic. I didn't pay too much attention to it, to be honest. They're more part of the these iconic weapons are like more part of the companion quests, if anything. Then again, I don't think Judy had one, so only some characters do. Maybe non-romance option characters do, but then again, this I don't know. It's all over the place really with iconic weapons, because even I think even Royce drops an iconic weapon. So that's item rarity set in stone and done based on what I saw with my own 2 eyes from the gameplay. Enough of this, I'll make videos telling people stuff, but I won't check leaks to see if I'm telling the truth. Like, one last time for the people in the back, there are 5 weapon rarities: common, uncommon, rare, unique, legendary. What iconic is a custom rigged weapon from a character. I think legendary might be a unique model of the weapon, because iconic weapons didn't have like a different model. They just seem to have like a different skin over them, but we'll wait and see, though. I just haven't seen enough legendary items. And yes, the color the box icon is, aka the looting icon, means the highest rarity found in it. But a lot of the time, straight up a lot of time, it'll have garbage in it, except maybe a mod or junk or something similar to that that's high end for some reason. That being said, there's loot boxes and loot crates just dropped all over the map, like literally littered. When you first walk out of your apartment in Night City, if you go straight instead of going down the stairs like the game wants you to, you'll find a suitcase with items right away. Now obviously there's a bit of RNG in everything you loot in game and some hand placed items, but those are probably more unique items that are hand placed. But from what I've seen, there's a ton of loot boxes and crates everywhere you go. But a lot of these smaller ones are straight up filled with junk. Like, if you're playing the game, you want to look out for large boxes on the floor. Those are where dropping the fat loot. Also, for those wondering, you can stash your items in your apartment. I don't know how big the showcase thing in the items room actually works. It's not explained in game. The quest legit said, optional, replenish ammo. Then you go into that room, you do just that, and it was done. It didn't explain anything. That was like the least helpful explanation possible and how that room worked. Now, when you go ahead and loot all these items, eventually you'll have a ton of duplicates, at least in the early game. It drops like the same 4 weapons 100 times over, because they don't want to give you weapons that are insanely overpowered. So it's like, okay, here's the 4 base weapons before you finish the prologue. I believe it was like a lower end shotgun, that double barrel, which is so bad actually. Then you get 2 versions of pistols, then 1 SMG. Maybe you get a rifle. I don't remember. But yeah, those were generally the weapons that dropped a lot. But you do get don't use the double barrel. Trust me, the double barrel is horrible. I don't know why people were using the double barrel like late game in the footage they showed. There's a much stronger shotgun that you can get very early on in the prologue just by following the quests. So I don't know why they kept showing off that double barrel. It's actually horrendously bad. Yeah. Well, if you have all these duplicates, you want to head over to the nearest shop and actually start selling them. The way this game works is exactly like like the selling system looks exactly like Fallout 4, Fallout New Vegas, all the Fallout games in general. You say, hey, I want to buy this, and then it says, oh, it's 400 eddies that you have to give to him, right? So what you can do is sell him your items on the same screen instead of the eddies. So to better explain this, because I don't have footage of Fallout 4 right now, say you want a shotgun that's for 400 eddies. You don't have to pay him. You can give him 4 handguns that are worth 100 eddies each. Then it'll say that neither of you really owe the other any caps, and then you can press confirm. There's a confirm button when you do trades. You have to press confirm, so you can't accidentally buy something. I know some games have you accidentally buying something, like, oh, whoops, I misclicked. But yeah, since you have to confirm it, you confirm it, and then boom, the trade's done. Early game, the weapon shop had 15k eddies, which was more than V had after finishing the entire prologue, actually. That being said, the weapon sold for quite a bit though, which depending on how the economy of the game is, it might be very, very broken. Because from what I've seen, attacking a faction just randomly on the streets has 0 drawbacks. At least no clear drawbacks that you can see right away. Because you didn't get a call that was like, hey, what are you doing, V? Are you dumb? Because NPCs, like characters in-game, do give you regular phone calls for stuff that they want you to do. Like every time you enter a new district, you get a call from the lead fixer. Even before you've even finished the prologue. Everyone kind of knows about your mercenary career, I guess you could say, because a lot of time has passed from the life paths till up to when the game actually takes place, because you've done a lot of jobs with Jackie, you've bonded even more. That's kind of how the story's set. So you don't get these calls from their faction leaders saying, hey V, what are you doing? And it seems like everything was normal except they were, gone, and you could loot them now. Then you then you can go over and sell their items, which is interesting. If you could do the Fallout New Vegas strat and stealth take down all of them, loot them, then sell their stuff just for insane profits, because stealth takedowns seem to be free one-shots actually, but some characters have like a weird 360 field of view thanks to their cyberware that you actually have to hack before getting close to them. So I think that's legit it for looting items though. We touched up on what could be found in enemies and boxes, which is junk, consumables, weapons, and maybe armor, or very, very rarely armor. It depends if it was RNG that got him the Arisaka vest, or if it was a set spawn on that unique NPC, which I've only seen like 2 or 3 people's gameplays, and I've only seen one 12-hour gameplay, so I don't actually know if that's a set spawn or if you just got really lucky, because that was a nice vest. Like the armor on that thing was pretty sweet, to be honest with you. Yeah, we went over rarities as well and selling. Oh, when it comes to crafting, you can craft anytime you want. It doesn't have this over-exaggerated animation. You just do it in your menu. You go to the weapon or armor and fit it with the slots. The pistol had like 2 slots, one for a sight and one for extended mag, but other weapons might have more. It's not customizable to an insane point though. It's to a point that makes sense. Like you can add a sight onto a weapon, you can add an extended mag. You're not changing that weapon into like a grenade launcher. Yeah, so it does make sense, but generally you have to take I look at some of my other vids about perks, skills, levels, even the story really, because they were all right, funny enough, and you need those advantages. Like maybe I'm not stressing this enough, this game's hard if you don't know what you're doing, and no matter what, do not start on hard difficulty. Like straight up, do not choose the hard difficulty. I know some of you might have played some other games where normal is pretty much easy. It's not like that in this game. Like I'm telling you, hard difficulty is straight up unfair to a point that's ridiculous. My dude had Netrunners spamming overheat on him the entire fight, and because he didn't have any long range weapons, he was pretty much done for. Because he built his character as half Netrunner, half solo. Go with one or the other. A hacking solo will be a pain to play. I'm telling you right now, it will be a pain. The press did that route, yes, but they avoided all combat. The Maelstrom fight that kicks off near the start of the game is an inferno waiting to erupt. It's nothing like what was shown in the 48-minute demo. That was a higher end character that had a lot of abilities and perks unlocked. Your dirt poor, poorly leveled character is not going to be doing that well. Like absolutely at all. Speaking of that, I want to make it very clear that your choices in the prologue don't have as much locked. I don't know how to explain them. They aren't as locked as you might think they are. Like even a character that isn't exactly spec'd into net running could actually diffuse the vector on the chip. For example, Stout. I was going to say Militech. Stout gives you the entire prologue isn't locked based on your skills. Like the entire game doesn't actually, I guess, start the RPG mechanics of the game, the branching routes. They don't actually start that much until after the prologue, for a very good reason. There's a string of events that have to happen for the story to make sense, for you to get to a point that makes sense, which I've stressed so many times in videos. People kept saying, oh, branching paths, branching paths, different routes in RPG. Even in RPGs, there's still a string of events that have to take place for you to get to a point. And the game isn't really, you could say, opened up fully until you're finished the prologue. Even though you could like ditch the story right off the bat and go do, I guess, other things. Like I think you could right away go and do some of the faction quests. I might be wrong, because you do get a call really quickly, because you're in Watson, so you get a call from the Watson fixer really quickly. And at the same time, when the prologue's done, oh my goodness. This is I'm gonna make a video tomorrow, but I have a general complaint. The quests, you're bombarded with quests. It's like ridiculous level how many quests you get. Like, I think the guy had like 20 quests or something after the prologue was done. I was like, what's going on here? Like, chill. Maybe spread the quests I get out a bit, you feel me? I think it's because they wanted to introduce you to a lot of game mechanics, like buying cars and all that, because those were quests for those things. But yeah. So yeah, a bit of advice I guess I'd give you for just when you jump into the game is to use the Militech base pistol you're given. It's actually really OP because it shoots so fast it can stun lock your enemies, so you can take them down and loot a stronger weapon off of them. Hopefully, don't use the double barrel. Like, do not use the double barrel. It's the way damage works. The slow reload on the double barrel is going to get you destroyed. But that's about it. I've been planning a double upload for a while. I just end up sleeping all the time, sadly. I was gonna do it today, and then I was like, ugh. I wake up at like 1. I'm like, bruh, you know what? I'm gonna get another 3 hours of sleep. To be fair, I stayed up all night doing a project yesterday. But tomorrow, 100%, I'll have a double upload with one talking about the game mechanics, story, choices, branching routes, and more based on the 12 hours I saw. Non-spoilery, basically, because there's some cool things you need to actually experience. Like, I wouldn't say it would ruin it for you to watch. Like, you can find it online. You can find at least a couple hours of it. I wouldn't say it would ruin it, but it would definitely, I don't know, it might just hype you up even more. That's the funny thing. It was like, after I watched, I was like, oh, that's interesting. All right. And if you enjoyed this video, leave a like if you enjoyed it. If you didn't enjoy it, then ouch, you hurt my feelings, bro. And subscribe anyways, because I'm not making that Smasher joke again. I'm just gonna make this. I wrote my notes to make the Smasher joke again, but I was like, "Yep, nah, we're good, bro, we're good." But yeah, hopefully that was about it for looting. It's pretty funny that they don't explain looting in game or looting in their trailers, or like any game mechanics. There's a lot of game mechanics which get explained through pop-ups. Actually, like I don't want to keep delving further and further into it. I guess tomorrow's video's topic. But there are wanted levels. But they don't explain that to you. But the second you commit anything that would give you a wanted level, you get a pop-up in the bottom left of your screen. That's like a tip. Like, oh, this is what happened, blah, blah, blah. And it's the same thing with special enemies, aka netrunners. The worst type of enemies in the world. They are the most annoying. I hope there's like some skills to counter. I don't know if you can even counter. I think they just allowed to do it. Anyways, peace, ladies and gentlemen. That's tomorrow's video. Okay, stay tuned. We're not ruining tomorrow's video's topic.